Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the MTG Goldfish Podcast, episode 112, your weekly podcast for everything Magic the Gathering related. The crew is joining you as always. Richard, the owner of MTG Goldfish. How are you, Richard? What's up?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, our resident jank brewer and all-around Magic content creator. What's up, Seth?
Oh, what's going on, guys?
What's going on? And Chaz, your general Magic the Gathering content creator. You can find us on Google Play, iTunes, mtggoldfish.com, and now on YouTube. So let's just jump right in. The docket for today, the ban and restricting announcement literally just dropped a few minutes ago, so now we're recording. No bannings across the board, nothing, no changes to talk about, so that obviously leads to more discussion. We're going to talk about the Channel Fireball Grand Prix exclusivity announcement. There's a global contract that they made that Channel Fireball is going to be hosting all that, basically has the reins to all the GPs. So we're going to discuss that and the actual announcement, declaring that. That will bring us to the announcement of the Duel Deck, Mind vs. Might. We know of the face cards in Gioria and Lavisa. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that. There's just speculation abound as to what is actually in those Duel Decks. And then we're going to wrap things up on a positive note with Fishmail and the Las Vegas Gold Knights Reid Duke signing. So that should be interesting as our little throw in there. So let's just jump right in. No bannings across the board. Let the hysteria begin. Richard, what do you think?
Wizards is in a lose-lose situation. No matter what they did today, people like us will be on podcasts complaining. So no bannings. Bad for standard players, like from a gameplay perspective, I guess. The meta has been pretty stale, and it's going to be like that. Good for collectors / people who care about the value of their cards. Their cards aren't going to tank overnight, nothing weird. They don't have to go buy a new standard deck. But it's a bit weird. Like I said in the podcast last week, because they did the bannings the first time around, I expected them to do the banning this time around, given that A, they created a window just to add bannings, but B, like, aren't we in the exact same state as before? I guess the only difference is there's no Pro Tour to drum up hype for, so they don't need to mess around with standard, but it's a bit inconsistent in my mind. But like I said, it's a lose-lose for them. No matter what they did, you'd have people complaining. So I guess they did the easy thing and did nothing and have people complain at them, as opposed to do a whole bunch of things and have people complain. But yeah, surprised, but I guess not really surprised. So I don't know what to make of this. It's just inconsistent, in my opinion, according to what they did before.
Right. Seth, weigh in.
All right, so I knew going into this announcement that I wasn't going to be happy. No matter what Wizard said, I was not going to like it. And Richard is exactly right. There was no win-win situation here. I think the most of a win they could have got out of this would maybe be just banning Felidar Guardian, because they've kind of already said that's a mistake and so forth. So I don't know. So I knew I was going to be disappointed no matter what. And like Richard, I'm mostly just super confused. I really don't know what Wizards is thinking or doing. Like, I'm a numbers person. I've been digging into the metagame numbers, and I just can't make sense of how, if 2 months ago that format was so bad they needed to ban cards from all three of the biggest decks, this format is good enough that you don't have to do that. Because by the numbers, if anything, this format is even more just 3 decks and you can't play anything else than the format was 2 months ago when we had Smuggler's Copter and Emrakul and so forth. It's less diverse now than it was back then. So I just don't really understand if they are going to say we would have banned Collected Company if we were banning things a year ago like we are now, and they were going to ban all these cards 2 months ago. I don't understand the no changes announcement unless it's really just the Pro Tour thing and they know they have another band announcement in a month, so we get to go through this all over again a month from now, because the format's not going to change. Like, it's set in stone. It's going to be Mardu vehicles. It's going to be the Saheeli decks. Maybe there's a chance that Amonkhet can shake something up. I guess maybe that's what Wizards is betting on, and they know the set more than we do because we don't know anything right now. But I think there's a really good chance that 5 weeks from now we're going through this same process over again.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really surprised, and everyone's kind of all over the place, and I think we have to kind of bring it back that overall this entire thing is a give and take, and at this point, because we're a little bit to blame, and I guess they have their big share of the blame too, but they've admitted the fact that, listen, the design, these past, few sets or what have you, and just the way this has been going kind of got away from us, and they admitted that. So it's up to the players to either A, accept that fact and let them kind of do what they need to do in terms of bannings. And you just wrote an article, actually, Seth, before we started recording. I didn't get a chance to read it, so you might want to go into that. Or, because we can't have it both ways. We can't just not let them do anything and just, have them, I guess, afraid to pull the trigger on everything, because then the backlash is well, the consumer, the kind of consumer confidence isn't there, and all our cards are getting banned, and there's nothing worth pulling out of a pack. I mean, there has to be something to give in order for us to get back to parity here, because we're just going to be in this flux of every 5 weeks there's just this mass hysteria because we don't know what's going on, and expecting bans, we're not expecting bans, and this has never been like this. I can't remember a time where it's been like this, where it's been this bad that it's just hysteria every time these ban and restricted announcements come out. And they're in a lose-lose, like Richard said. It's a lose-lose scenario, because they do nothing, people don't want to play standard. They do something, people don't want to play standard. I don't know what you do. You're just backed into a corner on this.
Get rid of all other formats, so people have to play standard.
Right. I guess, right?
I mean, they set themselves up for this last bannings, right? Before, no one expected anything to be banned, right? The status quo was we leave standard alone and let things play out. But because they banned Emrakul last time, now there's the expectation that as soon as your standard is not quote unquote perfect, bannings will happen left and right. Right. And I originally said before that, I didn't want them to do anything. I like Wizards' hands-off approach. But given that they opened Pandora's box and, they're doing this, in hindsight, I think they should have definitely banned something. We talked last week about how too much data in the community is leading to solved formats. If they ban something at this BNR, there is no Pro Tour to solidify the meta. Maybe you actually do have a Brewer's Paradise until Almancat comes out, just because you don't have the pros solving the format. So this kind of was the perfect time to experiment. But maybe the risk to consumer confidence was too high. They didn't want to take it. But why go through the trouble of adding this thing if you're not going to execute it? Like, how bad does standard have to be for them to do a mid-season banning? So, yeah, I'm confused. And I feel for store owners. Like, who's going to go to F&M now? Right? Like, we talked about store owners last week. And if you're running an LGS, like, who's going to show up to standard now, right? If it was already bad, geez.
The big argument that I am going to agree with, and you touched on this a little bit, Seth, and even before we started recording, is the consistency. And you even mentioned it too, Richard. If you're going to open the Pandora's box and you're going to ban something, then at least be consistent about it. I can't say for sure if they never banned Emrakul, Smuggler's Copter, and Reflector Mage that we got to this point because of that. Like, we're never going to know if they just continued on suppressing everything in the format. Maybe we wouldn't have even seen Mardu Vehicles, the green-black deck, and Jeskai decks, because why would anyone play that when you could just play Emrakul? So no one can really say for certain that, it's worse now. Like, you wouldn't have known if they didn't do anything that we'd still be complaining about Emrakul, right? So they kind of did something about it. Then they didn't want to get too hung up on all these bannings. So I think that's why they kind of stayed home on this one. And now everyone's just complaining, oh, well, it's worse now. But I do expect the consistency. You're right. I think the argument, just the argument on consistency is in fact valid, because, how do you not ban something and then ban something? Like, what are we doing here?
Maybe it's a positive thing. Maybe they open Pandora's box, everyone complains, so here they are, they're trying to jam the lid back on. People are complaining like, why are you trying to close the lid now? But like maybe they're trying to go back to the norm and pretend these bannings never happened and just like go back to status quo before Emrakul bannings. So maybe they listened to feedback and said people's confidence in their collections and stuff, and given that we're no better off now, maybe we shouldn't have banned Emrakul to begin with, and let's just not do anything, and then we'll wait it out to Amonkhet. So maybe this is a sign of them taking feedback and doing something about it. Maybe this is a good thing in general.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, the underlying problem is like the same stuff we've been talking about for a while, as far as the development and design of standard formats in general. Like that's what I think is leading to all these problems. And that's kind of what my article was about. Like whether or not they banned anything, I don't think it was going to fix standard and make it more diverse in like a better format. Like maybe it would have some slight impact, but the bigger problem is the same stuff, not having good answer cards, pushing like flavor mechanics in cards, like vehicles, because you got to have them be really good to market and sell the set. And like, those are the things that I think need to be solved and need to be fixed. So we're not running into this problem every ban list. And I will say, I'm not a big fan of the second banned window. Like, I really think I think that's part of what's creating the expectation.
Yes.
Like you can't be like, oh, we're going to ban all these standard cards, which doesn't happen. It's like once a generation, every 5 or 6 years, we have a standard banning, and we're going to have more banned announcements for some unknown reason. But don't get your hopes up that we're going to ban anything. Like you can't do that and then expect the community to be like, oh, we're probably never going to ban standard cards again. If that's not in the back of your head, at least, why are we having more banning announcements? And why did you just ban all these cards in standard? So I think Wizards kind of dug their own hole as far as creating these expectations. I really think that adding that second announcement is a big part of why there was so much of an expectation that something would happen this time.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say they didn't even ban Emrakul, Smuggler's Copter, and Reflector Mage. You don't make that kind of announcement without like raising some eyebrows. It's like, well, what does that mean? Do you feel like you need to ban something now? So I do think it's leading to a lot of this hysteria. But the problem is, I think it's just the ban culture in general has gotten way out of control. I mean, for a long time now, I don't ever remember this being a huge issue where we're all sitting here like frantically hitting the F5 key to see what they're banning. I mean, it's just, I don't know when this started, maybe a couple years ago, but I just never remember this being at this bad before, because I always kind of felt that they really knew what they were doing, and I still think they know what they're doing. I know it's an unpopular position to have these days, but they kept the game going along well this long. People are never going, there's just some people that are never going to agree what they do. They're not going to accept the fact that they made a mistake. I mean, really, what are we doing? Are we just going to keep harping on the fact that they made a mistake, or are we going to, or do we have to collectively accept that, we have to let them try to fix it? Or do we, because we can't have everything. We can't have, again, it just goes back to my original stance on this, is we can't have these cards have value. And what people realize is when they ban cards, other cards gain value. We can't have, a broken. So what do you want? You want your cards to retain value? Do you want a broken format? And obviously the answer is both, where you want a good format and cards that have value, but they made a mistake. Okay. So we have to try to get out of that mindset of continuing to live in that space, and we have to move on, or we're just going to keep sitting every one of these ban announcements, hoping or anticipating that they're going to do something when maybe they just didn't have to from the start. So maybe they can, again, this is the part of the problem that they kind of did this to themselves too.
I want to see Wizards fix the mistake. Like that's what, and I know it's going to take time, but if we're still having this conversation about not having answers and like, or do we have to ban these overpowered cards a year from now? Then I think we have a really serious issue. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I understand that it's going to take time for them to fix the problems in design and development that are leading to this hysteria about bannings and this very lacking in diversity standard format, but I want to start seeing steps in that direction. Like, if not in Amonkhet block, by this fall when we start seeing stuff come out, like, I want to see some action there, that things are actually changing as far as how the Magic sets themselves are.
It all depends how far along they are, and we kind of know that from history that they're probably a year ahead. So you're not going to see it suddenly change until like this time next year. So if the next two blocks are locked in, there's no way that's going to change. So I think people they're impatient and they're not letting them at least try to fix the problems that they've created for themselves, because it's just a constant battle back and forth between us as the players wanting our value and this, that, and the other thing, and not a stale standard, and all these things. And they made a mistake inherently with the design, so that's going to, and I think we've talked about this to like ad nauseum, that it's going to affect some things, that it's going to have to get worse before it gets better. I keep saying that, but no one seems to kind of grasp that concept, that the design is already locked in for a little while. So we're not going to see.
Maybe that's the problem. I mean, you're telling me I gotta get punched in the face before it gets better, and I'm like,
yes.
Yo, I don't want to get punched in the face, man. Right?
But, it's not like it's never happened before in any other game. I mean, it happens in other games.
Here's the problem, right? We keep taking this 1 or 2 year development cycle as the norm. Maybe that's the problem. No matter what happens, they're slow to react to anything that happens in the real world because of their super long development cycle. Maybe they need to speed that stuff up. Think of any other game. A patch is released, they go into like a 1 month development cycle and they fix it. Why does Wizards need like 2 years? It's a physical product, I understand, but are you telling me they can't get that down any faster? Is this just an inherent problem of having a paper game, right? And if it is, that kind of sucks, because I can just play these digital games that don't have that problem, right? So maybe the thing we should be harping on is Wizards should get their development cycle down to 6 months or whatever. Maybe have the ability to add cards to the next set really late in their cycle, so that they can actually react to this user feedback. We don't have to wait, 2 years to, get the changes or whatever that we're asking for right now. So maybe that paper part of it is actually the thing that's causing all these problems.
Yeah, that's kind of where I think we were leading to, is that maybe has to change for other things to change, and who knows when that comes in effect. So because it wasn't that long ago that we changed to that 2-block cadence, and everyone loved it. I still think it's a great idea for the 2-block cadence, but the unfortunate byproduct of that, which we're seeing now, is that they're not designed to like play along with one another. Like, they're all standalone 2-set blocks that are like, every time we move to a new block, it's like a very self-contained 2-set block that barely utilizes any of the other cards in any of the other sets. So it's like we move from one set to another, or one block to another rather. We get Delirium and these things, and then we move on to Kaladesh. So it's almost like it's almost like Shadows over Innistrad block could have like rotated. There's only like one very strong ability that's like left over. So maybe that's a part of the problem too, is that it's just a blend of all these things coming together. And then unfortunately, the players are stuck left holding the bag with these cards, and we're like, what's going on? Well, I don't know. What do you want them to do? It's a mistake, and it's going to take a lot of effort to either fix it now, or you let it ride, or you could have just let it ride, and then maybe it just fixes itself in a year. But how do you just let it sit for a year?
And that's the thing. Like, when it comes right down to it, Magic is a game and people play it to have fun. And it's a really tough sell to be like, you're not going to have fun for the next year, but don't worry, we'll fix it. Like, that's, why wouldn't you just play another game that you were actually having fun with? And I think we've seen a lot of people tweeting that have been going to GPs saying, literally, I've played 28 out of 29 matches were against either the Mardu deck or against 4-color Saheeli. 28 that's across like 2 GPs every single round, the same deck. Yeah. And I think that's not fun for a lot of people. Like, I think part of what makes Magic fun is having some amount of diversity. And I don't know if Wizards can say, just hold on, we'll fix this in a year or two. Because I don't know if people are patient enough to keep playing a game that they might not be having that much fun with for that long of a period of time.
But then then they ban, and then we snag them with the whole, well, no one's going to play anymore because all these cards get banned.
Yeah, I think it's better like this. Like Chaz just said, like, okay, I'll just go play Modern for 6 weeks until Nicol Bolas comes and saves Standard, as opposed to getting totally pissed at Magic and selling my collection, cashing out, and then playing Hearthstone or Shadowverse or what have you, right? So this is bad, but it could be a lot worse, right? Unfortunately, Modern has been scaled back a bit. Like, this would be a great time for a Modern event, and everyone get hyped for Modern Masters 2017, play it for 6 weeks, and then Amonkhet comes out. So I think that's the ideal scenario. Still sucks if your FNM is like standard FNM, no one's going to be there, you have no place to go, stores are suffering, but at least you still have avenues to play Magic, right? Frontier is also an interesting option, which kind of disappeared with the Modern Masters hype, but you could take your standard deck to Frontier and actually play. We have other formats, so hopefully Magic players go there, kind of like migrate down south for the winter and then come back, as opposed to just leaving the country altogether and saying, screw this, I'm moving to the Caribbean.
I like that analogy.
So question for both of you. Did Wizards make a mistake by walking back the quicker rotation? Like, is that part of what's happening now? We thought Battle for Zendikar block was going to be rotating with Amonkhet. Like, the meta would definitely be shaken up because of a rotation. Is that a mistake in hindsight to switch back from the quicker rotation?
Yes, I do think so. But again, they're just trying to accommodate players, and sometimes you get it wrong by doing that, and sometimes you get it right. It's just one of those things where I think sometimes you have to kind of just stay on course and do your thing. Like, you have to do what's best for the game. And again, no other big game companies just do this. Like, they listen to maybe, the top 1% of who actually plays their game, which is a problem in and of itself that I was going to bring up, that, everyone really can't agree what to do. So you kind of just have to, stay on course. And I do think they should have kept the faster rotation. That might have, avoided a lot of these problems that, maybe these cards just weren't designed to be played with each other. And that's true.
I mean, from a gameplay perspective, I don't think anyone would ever argue against faster rotation. But there's also the collector/finance perspective. And my guess is that's what caused them to roll it back to begin with. And they're saying that one outweighs the gameplay in terms of what keeps the player base happy. So I don't know, I guess, right? But gameplay, definitely you want the faster rotation. I can't imagine a standard that's so good that you're like, give me 2 more years of this. No one ever says that, right? Everyone's like, when's rotation? Show me rotation.
Yeah.
Great decks, but I'm ready for the next new thing. Give me the hype, right?
You're absolutely right, Richard. I mean, it hasn't been like that for quite some time. I'll say that. Like,
I don't think it's ever been like that.
No, there's a few times where it's been really good.
Where you were so good that you sighed at, new set, new spoilers. Why? Why? Just let me keep playing my standard. Like, who says that, right? No matter how good standard is, you want the new sets.
Like, if you could have just froze standard, I guess in a couple instances, I guess it would have been really good if they could just like keep it that way.
Or you go to Amonkhet and see the Egyptian gods, or you can go to Thera, whatever, right? Like, the allure of new and better things is always there.
Well, obviously, yeah.
To close this on a positive note from my perspective, the good thing about Standard and about Magic is there's always a new set release on the horizon. And in the next 4 months or something, which is a relatively short period of time, we're going to get 2 new sets in the format. And then in 6 months or so, we're going to have a rotation and things are definitely going to change. So even though Standard is not really exciting for me at the moment, I am happy to know that things will be changing soon. And that's the good part. So just because things are bad now doesn't mean they will be bad forever.
Yeah. You want me to end it on even a more positive note than that? Is no matter how bad Standard gets, is there's always an against the odds deck to bring.
That's true.
There you go.
Looking on the bright side.
Hey, we should get a montage of and we scooped this Healy. Oh, we scooped the Guardian.
I would be really curious to hear from people who are listening what their FNMs are like. Like, I know the GP meta to me looks really miserable, but I've been having a lot of fun playing against the odds decks and budget decks because there's a lot of cool stuff that isn't quite good enough, but is competitive enough that you can play it for fun. So is your FNM like the GPs? Are you just playing the same 2 decks, Mardu and Saheeli, over and over and over? Or is it more diverse, kind of at a semi-competitive FNM level than it is at the GP level, where it's just all about being a spike and winning?
I got bad news for you, Sep. We're not going to get any answers because no one's going to FNM. No, but seriously. So where I play, so the tables are numbered, so I can actually tell how many people are playing. So first there's a standard, there's a draft event, and then a standard event, and then modern. So I always play modern. So, where modern starts is how popular the first 2 formats are. During the Emrakul Copter era, they were down to like 7 and 8 players. And this is a place that seats like 200 or so players. So Emrakul era was pretty low. Last week at FNM, there were like maybe 10, 15 standard players. So, and we typically get like 30, 40 modern players, or 15 to like 30 modern players. So standard has definitely been bad. I've seen it a lot higher. And this is a pretty big store. This is Channel Fireball. So, I know that people are not happy with standard just based on seeing who's showing up and who's playing. And I can't imagine it getting better. I think a lot of players we're holding out hope, and they see that there's no announcement, and then they'll just move to either limited or modern or not come at all.
So,
yeah.
Do you think overall attendance is down? Does standard
is definitely down?
But I mean, like, are there less people in general? You said there's multiple events. Do those people just play modern, or do a significant amount just not play Magic?
I haven't seen too much fresh blood in modern, so it looks like they're just not showing up. Right? Because I'm not meeting people and like, hey, I haven't seen your face here before, and like, yeah, I just moved into modern.
And the bubble was bursted.
But it's also because we're pre MM3. So maybe everyone's waiting till March 17 to hop into modern.
Yeah.
So that
saving their money
possibility
for those $45 drafts.
But definitely, and then the store is also super spiky, which you would expect people to play this perfect trifecta format, of like, I'll have the perfect green black deck and I'll grind you out. But apparently they're not interested. So it's pretty interesting. And I feel for the local, mom and pop store with like actual like 8 people at FNM. If you have 4 people not show up, like half your attendance is gone, right? So, and are you really going to show up to like a 3-player FNM event, or will you just go to your friend's house and play some Magic at that point, right? So that's where my concern is with this attendance issue.
So one last question. The next ban and restricted announcement comes after Amonkhet spoilers, but before Amonkhet actually enters the format. So about 5 weeks from now, I think. Are you expecting changes for that? The classic shake up the Pro Tour changes, or what's your expectation moving forward for band announcements? We had crazy one last time, nothing this time. What do you think's happening in 5 weeks?
Bannings.
Yeah, I think what we would have expected now is probably they can't go that long again without doing something.
I think we're back to the modern Pro Tour, right? Anytime there's a Pro Tour,
actually, you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we need some numbers. We need people to watch their TVs. Just ban some random stuff. Doesn't matter what it is, just anything. I think modern is a very good example of this. Like literally nothing changed in modern, but all of a sudden, like Death Shadow is all over the place, right? Because something happened. People saw this card again. And then now everyone wants to brew with it, and it's in like literally every deck imaginable. So all you need to do is just poke standard a little bit, and then it'll ruffle itself up. So I think they definitely will do something just for the Pro Tour,
at least until their design is back on track. All right, I think that was a really good discussion, and I'm sure it will come up again. So
nope,
just listen.
We got standard exists for 6 weeks. Never happened. What's that format? It's only there's only modern in this legacy format.
Yes.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're like 2 weeks away from the start of Amonkhet spoilers. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for something to keep yourself occupied, Modern Masters this weekend will be the focus. Then we have more spoilers in 2 weeks. So there's always something happening.
I'm really pumped for Amonkhet. I keep saying that, but yeah. So that will at least distract people enough. And then we're back to the hysteria again. Oh, I can't do this. Like, I don't have the nerves. It's just crazy. All right, so let's talk about the Channel Fireball, the Grand Prix exclusive announcement. So just run us through that a little bit, Seth.
Well, basically, in the past, GPs were run by a smorgasbord of different TOs, often local or somewhat local to where the GP was being held. Going forward, starting next year, every GP, every place in the world will be run by Channel Fireball. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. Obviously, this is bad for other tournament organizers who no longer have tournaments to organize. Good for Channel Fireball, but probably the more interesting aspect is this a good or bad thing for the players? I think that's the big question. So that's what I want to hear from you guys.
I mean, there's good things and bad things out of this. Good things are that because they're handling all the Grand Prix, they have economies of scale now, so they can do things better. You know, anything they learn, they can apply. In general, people have been happy with how CFB runs events and how they do coverage. So that's a positive part of it. You know, by wrapping everything up here, it'll be good. There are bad things with this. So it's a monopoly. You're not going to have anyone competing with them to improve the experience, right? We're already seeing $100 Grand Prix. So is that the norm now? Well, there's no one to buck the trend and lower it. It's whatever Channel Fireball decides. They could actually just jack it up to $200 if they felt like it, and you can't do anything about it. This is for all Grand Prix, international included. What does Channel Fireball know about running, European events or Latin America events or whatever? They're probably going to subcontract it out to local companies, and then you have this weird kind of information flow between Channel Fireball and then the actual organizers, and that could lead to issues. And I guess the third thing is kind of the conflict of interest. Now when you have a Team Channel Fireball player, are you going to put them on the feature match? Probably. Are you going to unfairly put them on the feature match versus another pro-sponsored team? I don't know who's going to call that out. And you have this weird conflict of interest where they're A, selling cards, B, sponsoring pro players, and then now they're also running the Grand Prix. This existed before for the events they ran, but now they're just running all of them. So they can emphasize that as well. So there are positives and negatives. I'm not sure how I actually feel about this. I think it's going to be overall negative. I don't see Channel Fireball doing like crazy innovative things now that they got all the Grand Prix. What I do see is things like prices keep going up, and you don't have anyone to come in and try to hold a better event to spark innovation. So whenever we go to a monopolistic thing, I tend to be worried. I'd rather have multiple people competing, kind of edging each other out and improving stuff. So I think overall it's negative, but it's not like the sky is falling. I think there are positives and negatives to this deal.
We didn't actually get to see the contract, right?
No.
We know nothing about it.
Yeah. So it's hard to say what we're going to expect without seeing exactly what the terms are, because there might be some pricing, things written in there that they can't go over X, or it has to be like, the same overall cost. So I don't know from that standpoint. Yeah, I mean, I never really like to hear the word monopoly, but and it really does suck for the few TOs that were actually really good. I know there was a few of them that people were genuinely good with, and they liked their performance and how they handled these GPs. But I think the real fact of it is that a lot of them really didn't step up, and I think it kind of just ruined it for the very select few that people were cool with. And I don't see CFB suddenly making it worse, but you're kind of right on that aspect that I don't think they're suddenly going to do anything better because of this now. So I have to see a little bit more, and we have to, see how this plays out. But I mean, I think overall, contrary to what's been said, I think it's going to be a good thing because, I mean, every time CFB has hosted one of these GPs, it's been really positive. The coverage has been really great. It has greatly improved, whereas, we don't really get any coverage. So there is that aspect.
I'm pretty confident that it's a good thing. I have to imagine, and this is just my speculation, but I imagine that part of the benefit of this is it's going to give Wizards more control over the pricing. I would be really surprised if there wasn't some sort of agreement between Wizards and Channel Fireball about the price moving forward. Because that's one of the big concerns I heard from people as well. If Channel Fireball runs all the GPs, theoretically, they could just say, hey, GPs are $500 now. And if you want to play a GP, you got to pay it because there's no other option. So I would imagine that Wizards had some sort of agreement about the pricing. And the good news is Channel Fireball has put on really great coverage lately. They've really massively improved to the point where I think they do the best coverage in the entire community. Like, as far as their overall presentation, they don't have the downtime. No one matches Cedric and Patrick as far as just on-air commentary team. But as far as the overall coverage, it's really good. So I think that helps with the making Magic an esport. And standardization has a lot of benefits. Like, you should be able to expect the same standard of excellence at every GP now, where before there were some pretty sketchy ones, and some, like Chaz said, some good TOs, but also some where if you heard a certain TO was running an event, you kind of thought twice about going just because of the TO. So I'm hopeful that it's a good thing for players, but we do have to wait and see till we have all the information about the contract.
Yeah, maybe it actually is a win-win. We have the competition from the SEG tour to prevent, kind of like weird monopoly things going on. Like, if SEG events are way better, why go to a Grand Prix? So we still have competition, but at the same time, you do have that standardization. You still have that economies of scale working for CFB. So maybe the existence of SEG makes this a win-win. So I don't know. Maybe Seth just convinced me in his 2-minute speech.
And the other thing is, well, we've also seen this in economics before. I mean, it's not out of the question that this could be a good thing, and it's not like the true monopoly, where you have a monopoly of electricity or something like that.
And I mean, also Wizard still is in charge. So right. If Channel Fireball isn't doing Wizard stuff, there's no reason they couldn't fire Channel Fireball and or when the contract ends and give it to SCG or another TO if Channel Fireball really wasn't holding up their end of the bargain.
Yeah, but that would be a year from now.
Yeah, no, that's
he's gonna live through a year of terrible Grand Prix, right?
Hey, that's just because of the product, right?
Standard. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, no one's gonna show up anyway. Turns out Grand Prix are canceled next year.
Yeah, I when I did look at this, my initial reaction was positive, though. I mean, I can understand the concerns, but I am leading towards CFB just has come out way ahead of the rest. So, I don't see how this is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know what this means for SCG. It seems like Channel Fireball's kind of the golden boy of Magic stores now. By running all the Grand Prix and associating their brand with it, it's kind of like being the official sponsor of the NFL. You're the official sponsor of Magic now because you run all the Grand Prix. You're on the floor. You get to buy list everything. You get the biggest vendor booth, etc. So I don't know what this means to the power of the big two stores, but this seems like a big power move for Channel Fireball. And given that the SCG tour was on the verge of being canceled before, I don't know what this means. It's pretty interesting. We need a Netflix series about this.
All right, let's move on. To kind of move the last segment of this in the positive direction. The Duel Decks were released, Mind vs. Might. We got the two face cards in Giora and Lavisa. So what did you guys think?
All right. How do you pronounce this girl's name? Joyra? Jora?
Giora.
Is that,
I don't know.
Is that confirmed? Or are we guessing?
I have
it's
no idea.
Jorah.
She's a beloved character, but I read the book not knowing how to pronounce her name the entire time. And we're going to get butchered in the comments.
Yeah. Someone,
yeah,
don't worry,
that's
someone
a
will let us
definite.
know how to say it.
Ancestral Vision or no? I guess that's the only thing anyone cares about this product. Joyra is a suspend-related card. Are we getting Ancestral Vision or not?
Errant Ephemeron. I bet you that's in there, but no,
Oh.
we're not getting Ancestral. No, it's never happened before that Wizards has put a card of that value into a duel deck. The one argument I see is they put a ton of value, more so than any other set, into Modern Masters 2017. So maybe that's the new norm, and they're just going to print all these high value cards like crazy. But my expectation is no, we don't see anything like that.
I'll tell you what, I'm leaning towards Ancestral Visions because that's going to sell a lot of Mind versus Might packages, that's for sure. Because, I mean, really what happens is that's part of the problem is that, I mean, at least as far as I can remember, I mean, there was a few decent ones, but more often than not, these are just not that good, right? There's like a lot of chafe in there. Like there's a lot of jank in there. I mean, the promos are beautiful, and you know, Magali and Anna were two really good candidates to make this. You have two female artists creating the two promos. I mean, everyone was great. That's great. Everyone has a right to be, has a good reason to be really happy about that. And they're incredible. But the fact is, like, I guess it all depends on the timing, right? Because right before they unbanned it, the card was like $10. So, I mean, they could have tagged this for a year from now where they're like, all right, we'll just put it in that duel deck that's coming up. And it was like, yeah, it's like $10, probably going to increase, but we could just throw it in this one duel deck and it will sell the duel deck and we can get that reprinting in there.
I guess the one other thing you could say it has going for it is neither of the face cards have any value. Like, at least when you get a Planeswalker deck, like a Johnny versus Nicole Bolas, at least they're like $5 or $10. So they're going to probably have to put something of value in there because neither of the face cards really are worth anything. Whether they're willing to go so far as to put, what is Ancestral now? 50? Is it still $50?
Yeah, I think it's like $40, but for like no reason though. Literally, like I can't see a reason for it. It's not even like a super staple that's like in all these blue decks. I don't even think it breaches the top 50.
Yeah, it's $50.
Like
so
Bitter Blossom, Phyrexian Obliterator, just like super expensive for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because people remember the glory date. They're like, that's basically Ancestral Recall, right?
I mean, it does see play in Modern. It's not as dominant as people were worried when it got unbanned, but I don't know. At $50, it seems like more like a conspiracy Modern Masters level card to me than something you put in a duel deck.
Yeah, again, it would be interesting to see kind of when the development of this took place because at one point, I mean, for a long time, it was like $5 to $10. I guess that was because it was always banned, but I mean, it's really not even played anywhere else. Not even like EDH or anything.
Oh, Shardless, you cascade into it so good.
Yeah, is it? I don't even remember if it's played in. Is it played in Shardless?
That's the whole point of the deck.
Oh, right.
That's the whole.
What was I thinking of then? Oh, yeah. I was thinking it was.
Actually, do we know when the next announcement day is? Where they dump on us?
Yeah, I thought it was around this time, wasn't it?
Was it the end of the month?
I feel like it was the end of this month.
Okay.
I always remember it being that.
Because I think that actually plays into my expectations. We'll see. Like, it's not impossible that we have a conspiracy or something this summer.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, like, there was like two sides of the argument. The one argument is like, you are right when you look at Modern Masters, the recent one, like anything's possible because they jammed so much good stuff in there. And then I was like super into the Ancestral Visions in there because it really would be a good card to put in there to not to reprint, two to sell these things. But then I can't remember who it was on Twitter, but then we're like, it could just be like Greater Gargadon. And I was like, I like pumped the brakes and I was like, oh man, that's actually like, that works. And that's much worse, but I could see that.
Greater Gargadon is sneakily expensive now too. It's like,
what is that? Like,
it's like back up to $6-7.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's exactly the type of card you would put in this product.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no.
You're like, look, it's a
Raider
9/7.
Gargadon.
I don't know what it is, a 9/7? Whatever.
Yeah.
Giant.
Yeah, it's a 9/7.
With weird mechanics, right? Like, yeah, let's do it. It's as opposed to draw 3 cards. Like, I'm just gonna draw 3 underpowered cards. Why do I care?
and it does kind of combo with Joria really well too, since you get less suspend counters, but you can still sack stuff. So it's like they got to have Greater Gargadon in there.
But yeah, now that if they have Greater Gargadon, then there's no way Visions is in there. Oh man, you ruined it. What's that? I feel like this is from Time Spiral. What's that? It's like a Manta, like Cloud Skate. Is it Riftwing Cloud Skate? Is that the one?
Yeah, that'll be.
They're gonna have all that. Yeah, they're gonna have all that junk in there. Oh,
Cloud Skate's sweet.
yeah,
I love that card. It bounces something.
Yeah. Oh, wasn't that in Jace versus Chandra?
Yeah, and the Modern Masters, I believe.
Oh man, had to put Visions in there. Oh well.
So since we're on happy topics, did you guys happen to see the Reid Duke thing this week?
Yeah, actually. So we were going to talk I was just about to switch gears into that. So I don't know anything about hockey, so I'm going to get destroyed by some people that are hockey fans that listen to this cast. The Las Vegas Golden Knights signed their first player, Reid Duke. So I guess that's why it was trending all over the weekend. And from what you guys are telling me, this is an expansion team, and they're going to be like they just got put into place. You guys know a lot more about this than I do.
Yeah. So they started a new hockey team, and I also know nothing about hockey. But apparently the first player they signed is named Reid Duke, and the best part is the Reid Duke of hockey apparently is not very well known or popular, has like 1,000 Twitter followers or something. But everyone who wanted to congratulate Reid Duke assumed that it was Magic player Reid Duke because he has the Reid Duke Twitter handle. So I think Reid Duke of Magic literally had to go off of Twitter for a while because he was getting so many notifications of people mistyping his Twitter handle as Reid Duke trying to get to the hockey player.
Oh man,
Reid Duke needed to verify his Twitter account before this. Now I don't know how they're going to handle it.
That's like
how much do you feel for this guy? He's like, I made it to the pros. I'm a pro hockey player. And then there's this guy that plays Magic cards. You know, the nerd he probably beat up in school, even though Reid Duke is actually a pretty big dude in wrestles. You know, it's like this guy is more famous than me. Why? It's like his pro Twitter persona is like shattered here because he's being outclassed by a guy that plays card games for children.
I wonder if they should just embrace this and like on the hockey player's profile, it's like I'm not the Magic the Gathering player, like in their bio.
How about the Las Vegas Golden Knights sponsors an MTG team, and then they can have 2 Reid Dukes on their roster?
Interesting. I think this probably will be the only time where it's like the Magic player is like more famous than the actual sports player.
And until a Luis Scott Vargas gets signed to play soccer or something,
then it's like, yeah, man, you're not as famous.
Dude, so I'm sure there's like a Michael Jordan who plays Magic somewhere. we just need said Michael Jordan to win a pro tour.
Yeah. We need not only they have to win a pro tour, they have to win 6 consecutive pro tours. Yeah, let's tackle some fish mail. Let's do it.
All right. So if you have questions you want us to answer, tweet the hashtag MTGFishmail at MTGGoldfish on Twitter, and we'll get to your questions on air. From Epic Pug, what are the best ways to convert $1 to $5 standard paper rares from Battle for Zendikar / Shadows of Innistrad into cards credit cash as rotation approaches?
Well, first I would, in terms of it depends on how many you have. I'm assuming you'll have a lot. So the best thing to do, no matter what you do, is to keep it in the one spot. Piecemealing it out for the best, percentage, credits is fine. You just have to kind of, weigh your time to do that. First, I would take it to your local game store, see what they give you. If you feel like they're kind of extremely lowballing you, then I would take it to one of the bigger stores, like online, like Card Kingdom, ABU, Channel Fireball, Star City, any of those, and just see what the best deal is on that. But keep it into one store. I do think it's the easiest in terms of just shipping, and just in terms of your time management, that you keep it to one of those big stores. But take it to your local gaming store first. See what they offer you.
Yeah, also worth noting that if you know you're getting other cards, you definitely get more money if you take a store credit option from the big buy list. You can get an extra 20-25% from some places. So if you know you're just going to buy more cards with that money, definitely consider doing that from one of the big vendors if you go that route.
All right, next question from Lol Goldsteel. I'm having trouble finding a deck that suits me in Modern. Looked at a bunch, but nothing speaks to me. Any advice?
Wow.
Ooh.
So
it's kind of hard to gauge this, like what this person even likes doing.
Yeah, based on your username, you seem to like Goldsteel. No, I would proxy up a whole bunch of decks and just play them out. And then because you're proxying them, they're not going to cost you anything. Just write on, get some basic lands, write out the cards, and then play test them and see what decks you like best. Because the decks in Modern are wildly different, and you get a different experience playing each different deck. So I would take the time before you drop, $500+ on a deck.
And the great thing about Modern is there's a ton of decks, so just keep cycling through them, and sooner or later you'll find one that fits what you want to be doing.
Yep.
All right, next question from Mao Morua. Considering Blessed Alliance, would you think twice before sending a message with Birds of Paradise?
I guess it depends on the scenario, but a lot of decks, I think I'm happy if I can trade a Birds. I mean, if you're mana screwed or something, but most of the time I'm fine with trading a Birds for a Blessed Alliance, I think.
Are you really?
No.
I don't want my Birds terminated or something.
I'm not one of those people that attacks with the Birds. I don't want anything to happen to it, at least until like it's on my terms.
Yeah, I don't. You're sending you're doing it wrong. You're sending a message. Okay, it doesn't matter how much it sets you back. You're sending a message. So yes, right into that Blessed Alliance.
Is that message you lose? I mean, I don't understand.
It's about sending a message. It's
all
not about winning.
Oh, okay.
It's about sending a message.
Okay. All right.
Let me chump attack. Here you go. It's about sending a message. Next question from @Allegris38. What was the first rare you remember getting? And then second question, what 2-color pair fits your personality best?
The first rare I remember playing with was, oh man, I can't even remember. Sometimes I didn't even know the cards were rare.
Well, I started after the gold symbol, so it was easier on me.
No, all kidding aside, did you really?
Yeah, I didn't start.
I know we have the long ongoing Theros joke, but
I didn't start playing till like around Ravnica block, original Ravnica. So I had the gold set symbols to know what was rare. But the first one I remember was Eon Storm, and I've talked about that before because it was the first deck I built around. But Eon Storm is the first rare I remember playing with and building a deck around.
Yeah, Richard, was the big blue crab with the 6/6? Like, I forget
Deep
what it's
Spawn.
called. Deep Spawn. Was that a rare?
It
I have
was.
no idea. Wait, what set is Deep Spawn from? Is that Fallen Empires?
I think it's Ice Age, I believe. Maybe it's Fallen Empires. One of those, yeah.
I remember playing at it wasn't like traditional, like when I first was introduced, like I was introduced to all those cards. It wasn't until after that I got into like, I guess, the more traditional Magic, but like they were just like slinging cards at the cafeteria, and I remember that card. That was a rare, right?
We'll call it a rare. I'm pretty sure it was a rare.
I'm pretty sure it's a rare. Yeah, that's the one I first remember.
For me, Sarah Angel. Is Sarah Angel even a rare? Or is it uncommon?
It was a rare. It used to be rare.
So either it was Sarah Angel or who was it? Elder Dragon. Was it Via Victus Asmati? I think it wasn't Nicol Bolas. It was the one where you can pump.
One?
No, I think I don't know what color it was. It's the one that you can pump. I can remember the art. I have to look it up. But it's the one that you can pump with all 3 colors. Maybe the Jund one?
Victus.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember the name.
Marty? Yeah.
I think that was probably the first card where I'm like, wow, this card is unbeatable. This is ridiculous. This is so awesome.
Yeah. I have a much more interesting story. I remember going through a blizzard. Like the first rare is like a little less exciting, but I remember going through a blizzard to go pick up a Prophecy intro deck. I think they were intro deck just to get Avatar of Might. Like, I remember walking all the way into town. There's this little like stationery store that sold Magic, and I remember going. It was like literally just like snow like everywhere, and
Did you
walked
walk
all the way
uphill
back.
both ways?
Pretty much, it really was. No, downhill one way, uphill the other way. But no, it really was. I swear, and I got
the stories of upstate New York Magic.
Yeah, Avatar of Might, and I was like, whoa, this card is like. And then I remember playing it like I couldn't even pay the mana for it. It was like 8 mana because no one. I think I can't remember
You
the
didn't
one
have
for
the
Avatar
gentleman's
Might.
agreement of
It's
no attacks before you both reach 8 mana.
Yeah,
4 creatures, I think, is a
4
condition.
creatures.
Your
Yeah,
opponent
it was a
has to have
condition.
4 more creatures.
Yeah, so I remember I couldn't even cast it, and I was like, wow, this sucks. Like I can't cast it.
Best color pair to suit you.
Blue.
Okay.
I don't know.
Double blue.
Blue something. I don't know what goes with it. I like
Double
blue
blue.
black, blue white, blue red, blue green. I can't choose. As long as there's blue, I'm happy.
Well, as long as there's green, I'm happy. Now, normally it would be green red because I just love like super hyper aggressive decks. But my favorite actual color pair is black green.
Ooh, me and Chaz are the same. Black green.
Yeah, has to
Although, I guess we should be playing standard then, huh?
be. Yeah, I'm cool with the black green deck, although it's fallen off considerably.
Next question from @Plantrex7. Wizards is participating in E3 this year. What do you think they'll be there to promote? Digital next?
It's gotta be, right?
It has to
be. What else is there?
Yeah,
Can you imagine they have like a big, and they're like, well, we implemented leagues on Magic Online.
No. It has to be digital next because I don't even think they would. They wouldn't even reserve a booth. Now I don't. Do they? They've normally not gone, right? Just so I'm getting that.
I don't
correct,
think they
right.
ever have before. Yeah.
They can't just show up and here's the next Duels of the Planeswalker. Like woo. And
Actually,
I think that's exactly what they're
That's what I was
oh
gonna say.
my! Really? How do you? Everyone's doing like here's like this next AAA title and all this other stuff, and like you go with Duels.
But
No.
I think it's like the Magic Digital Next production of Duels. Like that's my guess.
Okay.
I think that's got to be the first Magic Digital Next product that comes out
Okay.
is a new Duel. So that's my guess.
All right.
I mean, Wizards is used to promoting with the big dog. I mean, they're at PAX, right? I mean, they're still probably one of the smallest companies at PAX compared to the other AAA companies with big budgets. So they can put on a show. And E3 is more than just the big companies. They might have a little booth in the corner somewhere, but we'll look at the screenshots and complain about Magic Digital Next. But maybe we'll see something. Maybe we'll actually see the game. And I actually really like the last screenshot. So if they can just show me, I don't know, upkeep during your draw step, play Vendilion Click. If I see that, I'll be sold. Give me a draw phase.
Like an indicator comes up, like you have a Vendilion Click. Do you want to play this now?
I don't care. Just anything that shows me full rules engine and not watered down Magic. And then, I'll throw my money at them. Literally at my screen. I'll just throw it right at my screen. Next question from A Strange Fish. What if all new cards were $1 a piece? What if Wizards could sell any card by direct order for $1 while legal?
I don't.
I think they lose tons of money.
Well, no, it would be all in Wizards Court.
Well, it would be like Dominion or whatever, right? Where you just like buy a box and the box has like every card
Yeah.
for that expansion.
Man, that would be really awful to all these stores, but that's like a whole podcast almost.
Because then wouldn't there...
Well, what would they sell it for? They're not going to sell it for like $2,000, right? They're going to have to actually lower the price of all of the cards down to $1, basically, right?
Well, right. Well, that's what I'm saying is that there's like, I mean, what would you be opening? I guess the store would just be a place to play. I mean, I guess that's what it is now because your product comes from Wizards.
Well, no, I mean, you could sell it to the store at wholesale prices or whatever, right? Distributor prices. And then the store would sell it back and make profit, right?
But wouldn't
Sure.
Wizards lose out on a lot of money compared to having people play the booster box lotto?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they lose a lot of money in that regard. They made a compromise. What if not all products, but some products? Like
That'd be
Pokemon has
interesting.
this, where they're like, this product is one specific card and a couple booster packs. So instead of pretending they're like dual decks and stuff, there's just like, look, this is Ancestral Vision box, and you get 3 packs of Modern Masters and an Ancestral Vision, and then you sell that thing. So
Right.
they're kind of printing cards and selling them directly, but not exactly.
They kind of do that with promos, though. Like, have you ever seen at like Walmart? You get the 3 packs
Yeah.
and an Angel of Jubilation, or like some. They just
But
do it
the
with
promo is
bad
random,
cards.
right? The promo is not.
They
known or
change them every
advertised.
so often, but it's the same promo for like 6 months or something.
Yeah,
And
they
change
seem
to a new
random.
one.
They seem random, but
But they're always really bad.
isn't that like going along the lines of like the barcode thing that people always talk about with the thing that Pokemon does?
Well, the barcode is you just get.
Oh, you
When
just
you
get it
buy a
online,
pack,
right?
you get it. You also get the card too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that would work out. Part of me tells me it'd be good, but I don't. I mean, there's just a lot of economic.
Yeah, it's basically not a collectible card game anymore, but
Right.
just a card game.
Yes.
All right, next question from Gabe WR. You have to unban 3 cards in Modern. What do you choose?
Well, to not play into everything that's been happening the last few weeks, even though it happens literally every single time, I wouldn't unban Jace the Mind Sculptor. So there you go on that one. I don't know. I don't even know what you unban on there. I feel like Stoneforge could probably come off at this point.
I would unban Bloodbraid Elf, number 1.
Ooh.
I would unban Jason Mind Sculptor, number 2. And I would unban is my 3rd card, a little more up in the air. There's 2 cards that I would like to unban, but I think they need a banning with them. One would be Stoneforge, but you'd have to ban Batterskull. The other would be Green Sun Zenith, but you'd have to ban Dryad Arbor.
That's
What? You think Green Sun Zenith would be good without... would it be too good without Dryad Arbor?
I think when
You
you,
have
have
to
like
ban Dryad
Traverse to
Arbor.
Ubenwald,
Yeah.
already like tutoring up stuff for 1 mana. I think without Dryad Arbor, Green Sun Zenith with the color restriction and the mana cost is like somewhat fair compared to Traverse to Ubenwald.
Oh, but you need Delirium for Traverse the Ubenwald. You got to play Mishra's Bauble and Tarfire to get that stuff online.
That's true.
I think Green Sun Zenith is too good. I don't think, even if you get rid of Dryad Arbor, it's just...
But what about Stoneforge without Batterskull?
Swords are too good. I don't think... Like, most of the time, your Stoneforge dies, you don't get to cheat the Batterskull into play, but you did end up with a piece of equipment. And I think the swords are criminally underplayed in Modern. So I actually think it would be too good.
I wish the swords were more playable.
Plus, it
They're
has
just,
the same... It kills anything they can do because every time they print any legitimate equipment, they got to worry that Stoneforge can fish it out.
Oh man, are they really gonna ever top
It's the birthing-
Batterskull
it's the
and
birthing
swords?
pod.
And
Well, what if they made a 10 mana equipment that you could equip for 1?
that Erebos Blinding Blade.
Well, what if they make it good? Such that
Yeah.
pop it in with Stoneforge, you can do something useful.
Your
with it.
7 mana +1/+0.
Well, what would you unban, Richard?
I don't.
What do you think about Bloodbraid as a Jund player? Would that put it over
That's
the
too
top?
good, I think.
That's too good.
I
I
mean,
can't see
you
anything
could
on here.
unban Bloodbraid and Jace, but then everyone's forced to play Jace or Bloodbraid or
Right.
something insanely fast. You kind of kill all the tier 2 decks because good luck beating a Bloodbraid Elf, into Liliana or something, or good luck beating a Jace the Mind Sculptor if you're not going under him. So it kind of restricts diversity in the format, I think. Unless your answer card was like an artifact that everyone could play.
I can't see anything on here that is safe to come off, to be
Git
honest.
Probe? Time to bring Git Probe back.
Yeah.
What about Dig Through Time? Too good still?
I think
Probably.
maybe No, because then like I was gonna say maybe even preordain over Jace, but just to like throw something out there. But
Ooh, preordain could be good.
Preordain might be able to come back.
Oh man, Storm is already good.
Is it really?
Yeah,
like,
it's just the problem is all these
it's
uninteractive decks are like already good against aggro.
Just for good measure, ban another ritual and then unban preordain.
They're like, what? But how can you, like, everyone's saying Jace is safe, right?
Yeah.
Like, how is
he's
Jace
safe if you're playing like Death Shadow aggro, right? But so you can only play Death Shadow aggro to beat Jace. Goodbye every other mid-range / control deck. Not playing Jace, right?
Yeah, maybe
really?
twin. I don't know. No,
are you really that worried about it from a Jund perspective? Like, would you?
Yeah,
would Jace ruin you?
If you're playing Jund, yeah, you're terrified of Jace.
You're trying to play a fair game of Magic, and no one outfares Jace the Mind Sculptor. Like you need to play treetop villages or something to kill Jace at this point.
Oh,
like
wow, Jund. How long has it been since Jund played Treetop Village? That feels like an eon ago.
I still play Treetop. I play one.
Do you?
You need it to, yeah, because you do.
You do need one.
If they play Lily -2 it, you activate. Whereas Raging Ravine, you can't get in there.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean,
but it kills your mana base because having that one green, just like only mono green land is suspect.
Richard is right. What you destroy is all the fair decks in Modern when it comes to Jace. You can't play a fair deck without playing blue at that point.
Yeah, you have to play aggro or Jace himself.
But now you can't play a fair deck with blue.
No, I think
you can. Of course you can.
Like what? Name one. I guess Bant Eldrazi, but that's not even really blue. Like that's a stretch to consider that a blue fair deck.
How are these Jeskai decks? Yeah, I was gonna say, how are these Jeskai decks in these days? Let me see.
Well, in my store, everyone plays mid-range blue. Everyone loves their blue. Sultai, Jeskai.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look not too long ago. Yeah, there they are, the Jeskai decks. Grixis Delver, that's been popping up.
All right. I still think Jace. I'm less confident in Jace being unbanned with Gitaxian Probe ban because the format is a lot fairer now. When it was Blue-Red Prowess, in fact, Combo Death Shadow, when those were all the big decks in the format, I don't think Jace would have even been a playable Magic card. But those decks have really taken a hit since the Probe banning, and they're much less important. So I'm more scared about unbanning Jace now than I was a few months ago with Probe around.
You can't unban Jace.
I can't.
It's like Emrakul. It's like Emrakul in standards. Yeah, you get around Emrakul by just playing aggro, but it completely invalidates every game that's trying to go along.
I just shake my head every time I see like Jace, the Mind Sculptor, and Safe in the same sentence. I'm like, oh, I don't know what these people. I don't know what some players like. They really don't know what they're asking for.
We need to play some Legacy, Seth. I need to show you the power of Jace. All of his abilities are super annoying.
Maybe our next Goat Magic, we'll figure out a way to do a Jace battle.
Yeah, they were like, oh, you just play Jace turn 4 and you Fate Seal them and then you die. And I was like, oh, no.
I will say that one of the biggest problems is it's very unfun. Losing to Jace is really miserable. You feel so helpless with your opponent Fate Sealing every turn, and it takes so long. Like, it doesn't kill you quickly like some Planeswalker ultimates. So the feel bads are another concern. Like, if it somehow was of a similar power level, but its ultimate just ended the game in a couple of turns instead of like 7 turns, it would be a lot more palatable, I think, to unban.
No, it feels bad because it feels like you can do something. It's not like Lantern where you know you're dead. This, you're like, well, I can crack my fetch after he Fate Seals, but he's drawn like 6 cards off his Brainstorm. Plus, whatever you play is going to get bounced anyway. So you feel like there's something to maneuver. You're like, I'll craft the perfect hand, so when he ults me, I'll have the perfect cards to beat him. And then you end up losing anyway.
Yeah.
So it feels like you're doing something, but you're not.
And then all of a sudden you're taking like 3 damage from a Delver every turn, and then it's just like insurmountable, and you're like, oh.
Oh, you don't need win cons with Jace, my friend.
No, you
all
really
you play
don't.
is removal and card draw and Jace.
Yeah.
And Jace is your way to victory.
I think Preordain might be the best one, the best candidate. I mean, I was reading a lot about this, even I guess more recently again, because it sparked the whole interest, but I think maybe Preordain. I've read a good argument for Preordain.
Yeah, I like preordained as long they should just ban the rituals. Like, what is the point of this? Every single time they need to make sure Storm is like slightly playable, but not too playable. Like this card literally just exists to do unfair things. Like just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Free yourself. Same with Dredge. These two archetypes always cause problems for Wizards.
They really do. They really do.
All right. Next question. What are Chaz and Richard's worst decks like Infect is for Seth? This is from Kyle O'Meters.
Ooh. I'm not a very big combo player. I don't know what it is. I just don't like combo decks. Like the I've never even touched like Storm one time. I always just feel like I'm just gonna mess it up and this, that, and the other. Just give me like my robots or like just give me some creatures to navigate. Like the most I think combo-ish deck I would play is like Titan Shift or like Scape Shift or something like that.
Yeah, I it seems like me and Chaz are the same people. Apparently, green players don't like combo decks. I just don't like combo decks, and no matter what game I play, no matter what I do, I always play the fair stuff. So every like video games, other TCGs, apparently I just play Jund and everything. Like just give me the fairest 50-50 matchups and I'll play.
Right, like you're telling me I can have like a good percentage across the board. Like just give me that. Just give me that. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, combos I don't understand. Even EDH, I feel so dirty every time I win with the combo. I'm like, this is wrong. I don't
that's
want
not
to do
cool.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Next question from Colt45. Is Modern Masters 2017 Wizards' way of testing waters for collection devaluation in prep of the new Moto client axing value?
No. I mean, no. I don't think that is. We can argue like rotation changes. That probably has an argument for that. Treasure chest. But I think that Modern Masters 2017 is way down the list of is Wizards trying to devalue the client for me.
Yeah, I think the better tinfoil hat theory is it a way of testing the removal of the reserve list? Right? Because you're lowering everyone's value, but causing hype. And they could technically do that with the reserve list, right? At first everyone will be pissed, but then people are like, yeah, dual lands are awesome, right? So to me it's like a smaller version of the reserve list as opposed to anything crossing over into Moto.
Sooner or later it seems like the potential money they can make by getting rid of the reserve list will just be too much for them to like withstand the temptation to get rid of it.
Would you really buy dual lands though? Why would you buy dual lands? They just axe the reserve list. Magic is probably dying. Like, why would you go fork over a whole bunch of money for dual lands at this point?
Oh, just cracking the boxes would be so sweet.
They're gonna have new border, new art. I don't know. I think it's best left in our memories, our childhood memories. The dual lands we should have bought and hoarded, but we never did.
At some point I'm going to need, more of these for EDH decks. So might as well just hand them over.
Next question from the Fallen 3274. When will we get allied colored swords? What will they do?
Never.
Oh, really? That has to be another cycle they closed. Honestly, it would have been good to have swords in this recent block. That would have been cool.
I mean, I love the swords, but Wizards hasn't printed even a halfway good equipment since New Phyrexia. I think they're just
return of New Phyrexia. We're gonna get them. Trust me.
I mean, is it even an unfinished cycle if it's 5 cards? Like, do you consider it an unfinished cycle at this point?
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes you want other swords, but they don't exist.
Yeah, it's like I had black, green. Like, yeah, I would have loved to see what like green, red, and all those. Like, I don't know.
If they do it, I would guess another return to New Phyrexia now, I guess, or Mirrodin. Like once we go back there, and I expect they'd be pretty powered down compared to the old cycle, which is why I kind of don't want them to do it. Like if you're gonna reprint the cycle, you got to make them good to be at least comparable to the old ones. And if you just call them swords in name and make them the same mana cost, but their abilities are horrible, I would rather just not have them print the allied cycle if that's how it's going to be. And that's how I think it would be.
Actually, you know what? If it means we have to go back to Mirrodin, you know what? Just I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. You can leave it unfinished. I'm so done with that plane. I'm done with it. I don't want to go back there ever again.
We can get sort of smugglers. Where
yeah, just give me
if you get flying and when it attacks, you lose.
If you could tell me you could do it off the Mirrodin plane, then fine. But if we have to go back just to get the swords, like I'm good with it. Fine.
Oh, I'm ready for my black-green sword. Let's do it.
There is a black-green sword.
Oh wait,
True.
no.
Feast and Famine
is black-green.
Feast and Famine is black-green. What are you talking about?
Is it? Oh man,
you're talking about green, red, green, white,
blue, white,
blue, white,
black,
and blue, black,
and one more that we're missing.
Right.
Red.
Apparently, I know nothing.
Red, black. Yeah, red, black.
I just play a Sword of Light and Shadow.
Now you know what? Yeah, there's a reason why no one plays them in Modern. Now you just totally forgotten what they are.
Maybe that was the control player's sword. I don't like the blue untap my mana hold cryptic command swords.
Yeah.
Last question, Brett G. What are your speculations on foil dark intimations considering Bolus's popularity and basically guaranteed printing in Amonkhet block?
Oh, that card's so bad.
Yeah,
I don't think it matters how good Bolus is. I think that card's likely still going to be bad. Unless there's some trick where the extra loyalty does something really crazy.
I think that's it.
One loyalty lets you ultimate as soon as you play Nicol Bolas. Then maybe. Otherwise, the effect of that card is just not good enough.
I don't know about foils, but I mean, they're really dirt cheap. I do think Bolas has enough hype surrounding it that not like it should be warranted, but could do something in terms of that. But I do think there's going to be something interesting about that extra loyalty from that card.
Wasn't Eye of Ugin basically one of these cards?
There's only been one other like foreshadowing card, right? Other than like the future sight stuff. Was Eye of Ugin, right?
Yeah.
And then everyone was like,
turned out to be so busted.
yeah, everyone was like, oh, what is this card? What are Eldrazi? And then, everyone kind of just forgot about it. And it was a mythic and it was like a throwaway. I remember it was just like a bulk. It was maybe a couple of $1 card. Then literally Rise of Eldrazi hit like it was one set later. It was in World Wake, right?
Yeah, it was one set later.
It just was like a $20 card, like for no reason.
I remember being so disappointed opening them because it made no sense at the time. Like, we didn't even know what Eldrazi were. You'd feel excited about like opening a mythic, and then it was this card that just made literal 0 sense. Like, you didn't know what it did. It didn't do anything at all. So it was always awkward at that point to open them. But I don't know.
Those foreshadowing cards, they're there for a reason.
All right, that's all of our fish meal for this week. Thank you, everyone, for sending them in.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. It's been a lengthy, good, hearty cast. I think, Modern Masters is releasing, so there's that. Then we have a few more weeks till Amonkhet. But we will do this again next week, and I think it's a good place to leave off. So this is going to be the MTG Goldfish crew signing out. We will see you all next time.